Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Right, good morning councillors, good morning officers. I welcome you to the Ordinary Council meeting for the 12th of April 2023. I'd firstly like to acknowledge our traditional custodians of the land in which we meet today, the Darumbal people, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I extend that respect to our neighbouring Aboriginal peoples within our local government area, the Gungaloo Nation people, the Barada, Cabelbarra and Yeddamarala people. Also acknowledging the Torres Strait Island peoples whose lands are in the Torres Straits but who live and work in Aboriginal land. Morning, councillors. It's been a very busy weekend and long Easter one, and I'm sure everyone's ready to get back into the swing of things. So we have a number of councillors off today. Councillor Kirkland is online and Councillor Fisher will be joining us when he gets home. He's not feeling the best at council. He's taken leave and head home, but he will join us on the online when he arrives back at home. So we have a full house in that sense. So we'll move on to the confirmation of minutes from the previous meeting that was held on the 28th of March 2023 be confirmed as a true and accurate record. Could I have a mover and a seconder with regards to that, please? Moved Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Wickerson. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Or can I say that without Councillor Fish on there? Not there at the moment, but people that were there make that one. Declarations of interest and matters on the agenda, councillors. Councillor Smith.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I have a perceived conflict of interest in 11.4 in that the quarry where my nephew works is right beside 9 Mile Quarry, but I sought advice from our CEO, and the fact that he doesn't make financial decisions, he's just a truck driver there. I don't believe I've got a conflict of interest.
Okay, thanks very much for that information, Councillor Smith. I see Councillor Fisher's joined us, Deputy Mayor, so we'll move on to nil business outstanding, deputation forums nil, presentation petitions nil, committee reports nil, council delegate reports nil. So we'll move on to our officers' reports. Our first one is 11.1, 7 Rocky River Run charity beneficiary. And Greg, welcome to the podium. And just before we do, this is Greg's last report with Rockhampton Regional Council before he moves on to his new position at Toowoomba and Surat Basin Enterprise. So thank you, Greg. I'll hand over to you for that report and we'll work our way through that. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mayor and councillors and those councillors online as well. And it's a great pleasure to be here, as it was 2.5 years ago when I stood in the same spot. So thank you very much for indulging me and allowing me to drive your economic development journey so far for the last 2.5 years. I really do appreciate your support. To my executive colleagues, thank you as well. Your support, I know I can be a bit of a pain in the backside from time to time, but you know, we've achieved a lot in that time and there's a great journey ahead. So that aside, yes, I do have one final report, so quite apt that my final day here is a council meeting. I'm not sure if that was well planned or not well planned, but here I am. So yeah, 7 Rocky River Run, we know this has been a good event and has a little bit of history already in Rockhampton. I think many cities need a running event, and you know, I think it shows that active lifestyle. It shows those things. So this is a good one because we do give money to charity as part of this, and I think it's a good part of the event. In the past, it's been a different setup. You can see from this report that the proposal going forward, we've been out to an EOI to choose 2 charities. We've stayed with Ronald McDonald House as one of those. They do support a lot of Central Queensland families when they travel to Brisbane. And some have said, Greg, that's not a local charity. In a way, you're right, it's not a local charity. They do have a local presence, but it's used by local Central Queensland people when they travel, and much needed sometimes when their family members do go down in hard times. You know, the burden's taken off those families. And also, a new charity's been chosen as well with CQ Shines Foundation, which is very much tied up with the MARTA and the CQ Health. I forget the longer name. Cherie, you'd be able to help me with that, Councillor Rutherford. Sorry, you'd be able to help me. But that's CQHHS. You know, they are very involved in this. So it's a very new charity, but I think it's a very worthy one, and they put forward a very good case. The other change to how we've done business in the past is we've tried to tie this now to registrations. From a budgeting point of view, we feel this is a much one for us. It's much more equitable, but also fairer. It then motivates the charities to help us with those registrations. So we would dearly love to have those charities, and that was really a large part of what the EOI was about. Was how would you help us increase those number of registrations, which then in turn increases the contribution that you receive to your charity. So that's the recommendation, Mayor and Councillors, $2 per registration to each charity, Ronald McDonald House and CQ Shines.
Thanks very much, Greg. Questions, Councillor Latcham?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Questions through to Greg. Greg, great report, and it's a great community event. The question I've got to ask is the $4 per entrant. I know we'd like it to exceed the $10,000, 2,500 people to make it more than $10,000, but is there a ceiling? I guess my question is there a ceiling onto budgeting wise, or is it really still open-ended?
It's Councillor Latcham, thank you for your question. It's a good question. I don't ever see this being a 10,000 person race, if you know what I mean. Well, we should be excited if that is the case.
Yeah.
I suppose I go back in history and go, we've actually normally given $10,000 to each charity, so we would have to more than double the current numbers to exceed that. So no is the answer. But I suppose this report can always be changed in future years if need be. I hate saying this, but I'm fairly confident we won't have to exceed 5,000 people to the event, or we won't.
No. Okay. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Councillor Latcham. Councillor Smith?
Oh, just a quick comment, Mr Mayor. Two great charities, especially the Ronald McDonald House. A lot of our families from here stay there when they go to Brisbane. You know, there is a lot of sick children that benefit from, and the parents benefit by being there right close to the hospital. So, and the CQ Shines as well. Yeah, really great charities. Yeah, fantastic.
Thanks, Councillor Smith. Councillor Wickerson?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Echoing the same sentiments as Councillor Smith to Greg, great report. Initially, I thought the same thing as you. South East corner, the minute I see that, I go, be local. But then I pulled myself up and thought, I can think of nothing worse than your child being really, really sick. If we can take one issue away from one family, that's good enough for me.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Wickerson. I'm biased and I don't have a conflict of interest, but Ronald McDonald's House has always been one of my favourite charities and I've always supported them. Yeah.
Okay then, any further? Oh, Councillor Kirkland, question?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Firstly, Greg, thank you. I echo the Mayor's sentiments and the table's sentiments. We have really valued your input to our community, and this is another great event that AR have helped us to pull together as well. So thank you very much from all of the team and from myself as well. Just needed to put that out there, but also just wanting to question what's in the chart that you've given us, the applications, where it says quantity charity benefits / serves. Can you explain to me, is that like how many people they reach? Is that what that figure is?
Yes, Councillor Kirkland and the table, that is exactly what it means. So I suppose reach is always an interesting one. It's like advertising. You know, it might say that you have that much reach, but how many people do you touch? But it was important for us to know the sort of reach they have so that, again, that we could potentially hit targets and get them to increase our numbers. So will 228,000 people turn up? As I said to Councillor Latcham, I don't think so, but at least their database is far and wide, and you never know that if they reach 50 more people that wouldn't have come to the event because they've got a database that large, then let's use it.
Okay, thanks.
Fabulous. And sorry, Mr Mayor, I just have one second question. Just in regards to acquittals, is there an acquittal that's done by these charities to come back to us to give further evidence of the expenditure of the money that they receive? Can I just say that I absolutely support the whole thing. I think it's a wonderful charity event. I think River Run is fabulous. So thank you very much for doing that. But I just was curious about an acquittal when there is ratepayer dollars involved. It's always nice to be able to give that report back to the community.
Yeah, I think, Councillor Kirkland, we do media around that, but the answer to your question is no, we don't do that sort of acquittal where the money, from a formal reporting point of view to council, no, but certainly within internal we keep track of that, and we also do some media on that at the time.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Greg. So, Councillor Rutherford, would you like to move this one?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes.
Yep. And have a second, Councillor Wickerson. Just before I put that, Greg, I'd just again like to thank you for your time with Rocky Regional Council and Advance Rockhampton. Your economic development strategy and the plan that's been adopted by council has your fingerprints all over it. So that's put us in good stead for the next 5 years while we work through the life of that document to really build jobs and growth in the region and take us forward. And I'm sure the organisation won't stumble. We'll keep pressing on with that vision to take us forward. So. Really did put Rocky on everyone's radar while you were here, and I'd be remiss of me not to mention that before you go. But all the best for your new venture, and I'm sure we'll cross paths with the councils in the future. And all the best with your career pathway going forward. So thank you very much on behalf of the council, Greg.
Thank you, councillors. Yeah, appreciate it.
Councillor Rutherford, did you?
Mr Mayor, I was hoping to say a thank you as well, but will we put this?
We'll put this and then I'll go to a couple of comments from the councillors. Greg, if that's okay. So I'll put the recommendation. Councillors, those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. So we'll just go to a couple of questions. Councillor Rutherford and then Councillor Smith.
No, not embarrass you, Greg, but echoing exactly what the Mayor has just so eloquently said. Thank you so much for everything you have done for our region. You've been here a relatively short time, but you've packed an awful lot into that space. So thank you very much. As Mayor said, you've certainly left your mark, and we'll miss you. But from there, once again, I wish you all the very best for your future. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. You're probably along the same lines as well. Thanks very much, Greg. You certainly, turn the radio on of a morning and you're on there promoting everything that's on in the region, not just in our space as well, which is really great. And I have had, just even recently, feedback from various businesses who go to your breakfasts, and they said that it's just been phenomenal, and their business has really benefited from your economic development drive that you put through with Advance Rockhampton. And I do apologise for not being able to come to your farewell yesterday. I really wanted to, but I just couldn't get there. So safe travels and all the best in your new job.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. And one regret is that I never got out on horseback with you out there in Bouldercombe somewhere. But I know you will continue to manage that show 150 as part of the committee with Councillor Mathers very well, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. And I do regret not being able to be here for that show 150.
For sure, yeah, we'll miss you too.
Thanks, Councillor Smith. Councillor Wickerson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'm going to actually finish disagreeing with you, Greg. You're very rarely a pain in the backside, I found. I don't know about your staff, what do you think? But no, I appreciate your candid approach to everything. You laid it out as it was, warts and all, and sometimes we need that, especially with our economic report. It didn't just highlight all the achievements, which is a great thing to do, but also where we need to focus some attention. So that's probably more valuable where we need to go, so that's great. Just recently with the industry breakfast we went to, Mr Mayor, we could see around the room all the people that are our stakeholders and our bosses, all the industry leaders, how they held you in high regard too. So that's good testament to the great work you've done in the last couple of years. So farewell, and we'll catch up. Cheers.
Okay, thanks very much, Greg. That said, Uru, I was disappointed I didn't get you on a bull though, Greg. That was Righto, thank you. Right. Okay, we'll move on to our next agenda item, councillors. 11.2, the update of the RADF terms of reference. So, Mark, have you got that one?
Thank you. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Following an internal audit on the Regional Arts Development Fund, a recommendation was made to update the terms of reference to make clearer voting roles and committee numbers. I am here seeking your endorsement to endorse the revised changes to the Regional Arts Development Fund terms of reference as attached in the report, namely amendments to Section 3 membership and Section 4 chairperson.
Thanks very much, Mark. Councillors, any questions, Mark, on that one? Councillor Rutherford?
Mark, no problem with the report. I was just curious, given it's state money, was there not any terms of reference already handed to us with the grant funding? on how we had to distribute this money and the setup of a committee?
Oh, were terms of reference handed down from Arts Queensland?
Yes.
No, the terms of reference, these are specific to our committee, and Arts Queensland, their relationship with us is in that they fund us and it's a partnership, and it's up to us to come up with the governance around how we deal with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Wickerson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Happy to support this. I think we covered it in a previous briefing, but just to retouch on that, the new setup is much more workable. We've got a greater number of committee members from a more diverse range of arts. I think nearly every one of the art forms we would have in Rockhampton, I think, is represented now in the committee, with a bit of leeway to even add a few more if we had some interest, which is good. And I think the other change was that I, as the chair, and also our officers on that committee now don't have voting rights, except with the exception of the chair, who has a casting vote if needed. So I think it's a better setup. We're leaving it in the arms of the artists themselves, and we keep it at arm's length a little bit unless needed.
Yeah, correct.
Keep an oversight on it. So I think it's a much more workable structure, and I think the proof will be in when we assess a few more applications coming through.
Yeah.
Yep. Happy to move.
Yep. Okay. Move Councillor Wickerson. No further questions. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Rutherford. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Mark, for that report. Move on to our next item of 11.3. Brendan. Planning matter. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and Councillors. This is a request for a negotiated decision notice for a development permit for D167-2021, which is a material change of use for a residential care facility at 75 Ward Street. The applicants requested to amend a condition that required the removal of all redundant sewage infrastructure within the site and replace it with a requirement that the sewage infrastructure be core filled and capped rather than removed.
Okay, councillors, any questions on that report? Basically just an amendment?
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward change to the condition, just to remove
Have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Mathers, seconded Councillor Smith. No questions, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to our next item, 11.4, development application for a change of use for the permit or material change of use for extractive industry, sand quarry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Aidan. Thank you.
Morning, councillors. Just coming forward with a change application to an existing approval. So this is for application D589-2013. And then, let's see if I can get this right. It's not going to work, I don't think. Anyway, so this one is located to west of Rockhampton on Fogarty Road, which just comes off 9 Mile Road there, you can see on the map. As stated, this is an existing quarry and they're just looking to change some of the conditions, including expansion of the operations. Part of this is related to the Rockhampton Ring Road in preparation for that project getting underway. So this is the current site, as you can see, and to the right there is a separate quarry that operates under a different approval. Next slide. So yeah, the existing approval is for currently maximum of 100,000 tonnes per annum. It was approved in 2014 and had some minor amendments in 2016. As part of this change application, it's been assessed by Department of Transport and Main Roads through the state referral process. There is an existing environmental approval through the Department of Environment and Sciences, which that is regulated separately to the DA process, and I understand they're going through through that application with the department at the moment. So as part of this application, we received a slightly updated plan just to provide a bit more detail around the areas and operations. So as you can see there, and more information in the attached report. Next one. So the changes are involving increase the output of 250,000 tonnes per annum, as a continuous going forward. For the life of the Rockhampton Ring Road, they're looking to have a maximum output of up to 1 million tonnes per annum as a very sort of short-term, temporary activity, and then returning back to 250,000 once that is no longer required. And as part of this, they're proposing an ancillary activity, which includes some reprocessing of certain waste materials listed there, which would be combined with some of their extracted sand and other material to form other products. So with that, so based on the details in the report, we're looking at, we've managed some conditions around all these changes and how they can be adapted. The Department of Main Roads has provided their comments and conditions. As stated, the environmental aspects will be managed separately by the environmental approval. So based on this, the recommendation is to approve these changes subject to the conditions provided.
Okay, thanks very much, Aidan. Councillors, questions on this one? Councillor Rutherford.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I do have a number of questions, and I'm always just a little bit concerned about the impact on our roads. I mean, 9 Mile Road is already showing huge signs of not coping with the traffic we have, but also Lion Creek Road, more so with empty vehicles, empty trucks coming back, and the impact that has, more trucks on the residents there as far as noise. It's been raised many times before. There's not a lot we can do to fix that. But when I read through this, a lot of it relies on compliance, the business complying to things. That becomes a bit of an issue for us, because when it becomes non-compliant, then we don't have as much teeth to get them to fix that. What sort of a risk have we got here? Because I noticed there's no requirement for them to bitumen car parks or driveways or the like, which I'm not entirely concerned about, but if there then becomes an issue, how much teeth have we got to actually make them go ahead and do something then at that point?
Yeah. Thanks for your question, Councillor Rutherford. So I guess the gist of it is that we'd follow the normal compliance process as non-compliance with conditions, where the issues are raised. We'd probably engage with the Department of Environment Sciences regarding the environmental impacts as well, as that's more regulated by the environmental approval. But in terms of the roads, so we have put those conditions in around maintenance levy and that, and then, like you said, it does come down to us sort of taking that compliance action where they haven't kind of worked in with it, if that happens. And I guess, maybe if Jamie has anything he wants to add.
Morning, councillors. Mr Mayor, through the chair, Councillor Rutherford, with regards to impact of the road network, so similar process to other extractive industries in our feedlot. So we do a pavement impact assessment and a traffic impact assessment. So that pavement impact assessment, it's quite an involved calculation. So it looks at the existing roughness of 9 Mile Road, the terminal roughness of 9 Mile Road, background traffic. It looks at the proposed traffic. It looks at axle loads. It looks at rehabilitation costs for that width and that length, and it looks at maintenance costs. So quite a detailed calculation, and that comes out at $1 per tonne hauled. So we believe what has been captured in that decision notice is quite reasonable for the future rehabilitation or maintenance of 9 Mile Road. We're getting up towards 50 cents per tonne hauled, which is sort of up towards that higher end.
Yeah, I did read that, and that was sort of good to see there. I did note, Mr Mayor,
you're right.
I did note that we've taken the requirement of a landscape buffer off. That did worry me a little bit, and Mr Mayor, there's probably a deeper issue here, is that, you know, often we talk about mixed use of residential and industry, whether that's light industry, but now we're sort of starting to get heavy industry mixed with rural industry, and I don't know whether we've necessarily got that right. Particularly with the noise explosions, not great for cattle, and we know that there is a lot of cattle through that area, so we've got some issues there. But with taking that landscape buffer away, if there becomes a dust issue, which I imagine there will be, if there's a bit of a noise issue, that landscape buffer would have at least given some kind of protection to surrounding properties there. I'm not sure why we would have taken that away or taken away the requirement to have that.
Yeah, so through the Chair, this being an existing quarry, that requirement was never in place to begin with. That, I believe, is a requirement under the new scheme. We did look at that and sort of weighed up the options about whether it would be reasonable to essentially impose that retroactively almost. And we sort of deemed that, considering the distance to the nearest houses, that the risk was probably fairly low on that matter, and considering the activities involved being that they're restricted from not operating on Sundays and on public holidays, the distance, and then this particular quarry doesn't involve any blasting activities or such like, it's just dredging and extraction. So based on those factors, we figured like I said, the risk was fairly low in this one.
Yeah, I guess from maybe a personal point of view, I would like us to stick to some sort of landscaping of every, whether it's a business or a heavy industry or whatever, that we have some sort of landscaping that goes with it. But basically you're saying you really don't think there's any... if there's a dust issue becomes a problem, would have the landscape buffer helped that?
Mandy might be able to. Mandy, do you want to?
Yeah, did you? Yeah. Oh, sorry, did you? Is that on now? Yeah, sorry, I didn't see the red. So through the chair, the landscaping, so for example, the dust, for example, council don't monitor that. That's all done through state, and there's several conditions on the Environmental Authority regarding the environmental relevant activity. There's several conditions on there regarding dust, so they do police all that. So that's not for council to police. With the vegetation, it's more about, I suppose the purpose of it is more about visual amenity. And the reason with this one, for example, was that it's quite set back from the road, or from the main road there. And it was also difficult because the existing approval, like a decade ago, had no buffer as well. And they were really just, with quarries, they tend to move around the site as well. So yeah, we just didn't think it was reasonable, considering all those circumstances that we would need to. But yeah, it's purely really for visual amenity. But as I said, it's set back so far, and we didn't require it originally. So yeah, we deemed in this case that it was reasonable to not put that additional requirement on them.
All right, and I'm thinking, there's one more, and I'm thinking this one won't be ours either, but just to cover off on it, the ash that's stored there, it is from Stanwell. So what protection is there, even in the movement of that ash, or if the area was to flood? I noticed it's got a bund wall around it, but what happens with that if it's flood impacted, or even, the movement of it becoming an issue in the air?
Sure. So yeah, through the chair, I think with that one we'll be looking at, there is further approvals required, including like the bund wall, like you said, to formalise all of that. So that will be part of what gets looked at in more detail with those further approvals, including protection of those, between those surrounding areas and the product that's actually kept on site. So that's both that ash material the other materials they might bring on site, as well as the actual extracted materials. So yeah, we would look at all of that as part of the further approvals.
All righty.
Thanks, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Smith, then Councillor Wilkinson.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor, and I've just got to find where I was up to then. And I know all the commentary in this is the original application, original approval. I just noticed that it didn't match any of the codes, but you've given a lot of information there. I was just concerned, as Councillor Rutherford, about the, the roads safety. And it says matters raised in submissions was road safety concerns in relation to heavy vehicle use of Lion Creek Bridge, etc., etc. And a traffic impact assessment was done then, so obviously they didn't need to do another one. Like, things have changed since 2013, that's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Lot more traffic on the roads as well, so they weren't required to do a new one.
So we did require that they make some changes in regards to adding the extra signage from their resulting. And we've also requested that when they go up to the above 250,000 for the ring road, that that would be a significant increase on what's currently using that road. So therefore we've required that they take that road safety audit at that point in time.
Jamie?
Yep, through the chair. So, Councillor Smith, we've done a new road safety audit. We've done a new traffic impact assessment. So the road safety audit, as Aidan's alluded to, it's identified some safety improvements on Lion Creek Bridge. Lion Creek Bridge is quite narrow at the moment. So what they've recommended, up to 250,000 tonne, that will have some warning signage leading up to it, identifying a narrow bridge, and we'll have a give way sign on the southern leg leading into that bridge, so the northern heavy vehicles have the right of way movement. The southern heavy vehicles are required to give way, so we'll only have one heavy on that bridge at any given time. We have asked for a road safety audit to be done for the balance 1 million tonnes. They haven't finalised the road safety audit for that section yet, and we're sort of anticipating that potentially there could be further improvements with regards to safety on that bridge. So we might be looking at possible speed reduction, and we could be looking at give way to all traffic, not just heavy vehicles. They have given consideration to Fogarty 9 Mile Road intersection as well, with the 250,000 additional, so 150,000 additional on the 100 that they've got approved. It's about 4 vehicles in peak hour in addition. So the existing configuration of that intersection was deemed appropriate. Where we're going up to 1 million tonnes, the road safety audit's still got to be done yet, but again, we're anticipating possibly some signage and maybe some additional widening might be included there, but that's a condition of the permit, and that'll be provided down the track.
Councillor
Okay,
Smith.
thanks. Yeah, thanks for that, Mr Mayor. Just talking about, through the chair, Fogarty's Road. That section of Fogarty's Road, as far as I know, is not formed. So how much traffic are the trucks actually using that? Because I know cars use through Ferrybower, Fogarty's Road, and go up there when it's not wet. I know for a fact they go that way because it's a lot shorter.
Yep. Jamie,
And I just wondered, has there been any money, from the quarries to upgrade that road and actually open it up?
So through the chair, the section of Fogarty Road from the 2 operators, so we've got 2 operators on Fogarty Road there, to 9 Mile Road is privately owned and maintained. So it has been constructed in years gone by with a fairly significant pavement, as I understand. But that whole section of Fogarty Road is privately owned and maintained, and I believe those 2 operators may have some arrangement there whereby they maintain specific sections of that road, and it's actually signed to that effect.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. And my next question, the tonnage, they've got to report to council. Do they also have to report that to the DES?
I believe so, yes, Councillor Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my next one was just note 9, duty to notify of environmental harm. But I've often reported environmental problems to council, and the first thing you get is that's not us, it's DES. So we would just refer them to DES straight away.
Yes, for the most part, if that comes down to a factor that's managed by DES. There are some aspects that managed by council with regard to like the safety and that which may relate, but yeah, we would look at it as obviously we do have an interest in it, but if it more relates to the environmental conditions imposed by the state, then yeah, we would be looking to refer that on as they have the regulatory power in that case.
Yep, okay. And my final one, Mr Mayor, we keep, talking about Lion Creek Bridge as if that's the only track they take. A lot of these trucks go back the other way, and we've had a lot of damage to Malky 9 Mile Road from trucks. And, you could pass 4 trucks and dogs in one line. And I just wondered, we're talking about Lion Creek all the time. What about the other roads where they travel? Because they're going everywhere.
Yeah, through the chair. So this application, we had those discussions with the applicant, and they have very strongly stated that they have no intention of using Malaki 9 Mile Road, and that would be via this Lion Creek Bridge. So I think based on the information we have, we'd take them at their word on that, and because they do have to report as part of that as well their route, and the National Heavy Vehicle Regulator as well. So I think in that case it's probably a lower risk from this particular operation.
Could they be coming from another operation potentially, those trucks, Jamie?
Through the chair, so the traffic and pavement impact assessments have both been done on the haul route using 9 Mile Road to the north out to Ridgelands Road. TMR have specifically approved that haul route associated with the ring road, and we have approved plans that identify that route as the haul route using 9 Mile Road. So they should not be using an alternate route for hauling that material.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I was just thinking, if they've got customers back there, they're not going to go all the way around Rocky to get to over, out west or wherever they're going.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Smith. Councillor Wickerson?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I support this in principle, but just have a few concerns, because obviously we've been contacted by some residents as well. So these questions are around the bund wall. I know that's a requirement, so sorry if I've missed this in the report, but will the bund wall follow the boundary of the extraction area proper, or will they stage it out, or how will that look on the ground? Because it's quite a big area that they're looking at as the overall extraction zone.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you, Councillor. So with that one, there is more detail to be discussed and further engineering reporting, which will be part of that operational works approval when that's sort of required. With that, we would be looking at bund walls probably around the extraction area. It's really up to the applicant about how they want to propose that and how they want to obtain that approvals. That could be through like an overall site evaluation. There was discussions about potentially having, as Amanda alluded, the extraction will move around the site, and that this could include, moving the bund walls essentially as well. So it really comes down to the detail of the engineering assessment that the applicant undertakes, and we have looked at it on a sort of a high level at this point, and being that they're not actually changing the overall extraction area compared to what was already approved, because that was in place already. But we have considered that the increase in amount of product being extracted, that this could involve in like more intensive use at one time. So that will be part of that further discussion and assessment, I believe.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, I guess from the DES's point of view, the bund wall is to contain whatever product and runoff is on site, but from the residents, they're looking at this as being a levee bank, basically, that's going to cause afflux potentially. Well, in their mind it is, so that's what their concerns would be, that in a big flood, as well as keeping stuff in the bund wall, it's going to possibly divert water outside. So I guess until we see detail of that, it's a bit hard to assess. So as part of that question is, do we assess the engineering of the bund wall, or is that a DES issue, or both?
Jamie?
Through the chair, Councillor Wickerson, so we would get an operational works application for the bund wall, so we would see the bund wall details. We've also asked for a flood impact assessment. So the thinking is, we've had numerous discussions around this, and if they were looking at potentially bunding that whole site, you're right, it could have an impact such that it's going to impact external properties. So that'll all evolve as part of the flood impact assessment, but I suppose our thinking is the bunding really should follow the pits, and hence the impact external to the site would be mitigated to a degree. If you're looking at having significant bund walls around perimeter of site, that could have implications external to site.
Yep. No.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep. No, I understand. And I meant to say earlier, Mr. Mayor, we want to encourage local businesses to benefit and capitalise on the ring road, and this is a good example of that. But to balance it out, we also have to represent the neighbours next door that have their own serious concerns about it. So it's a bit of a balancing act. So no, appreciate that. Thank you.
No, you're right, Councillor Wickerson. It is a balancing act, but the impact of the ring road will be significant, as you can example the tonnages that are coming out of these pits. It's something there, but the wear and tear on the roads is something there we need to be mindful of and make sure that that's repaired after the project, so to speak. Councillor Mathers, portfolio spokesperson.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. Just moving on from what Councillor Wickerson and yourself were saying in regards to a balancing act, as council, I believe it's our responsibility to look after neighbours, but also our industries. We want to see them grow. This is up to a 100% increase, on what they've got, which is fantastic. So more jobs, more people driving trucks, everything. So it's great for the area, but we've got to be mindful of the effects with neighbours as well. But Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to say thanks so much to the team for, I know the amount of work and how long this has taken. It's been very methodical. The way they've gone through, looked at every possible scenario they could look at within the realms of what we can do. I know there's still more work to do, but I just want to say thanks very much for the work you have put in here, because I know it hasn't been easy, so thanks very much. And I'm happy to move.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Mathers. Again, being briefed as a portfolio spokesperson, well, the questions are probably not coming from yourself as you across the application and the project. So you're happy to move, Councillor Mathers. Any further questions? I'll seek a seconder. Hang on, Councillor Fisher, you got a question?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I may. Firstly, I took a drive out to this location on Monday, and I am sort of concerned about the state of the road and those comments, but I take it that council is going to sort of keep an eye on those figures. But the question I'd like, you said that blasting is not going to happen, but there were cases down in the Bundaberg Fraser Coast area where, after the approval was given, the quarry site then started blasting. What do we have any way that, what they say is no blasting, that is the way it'll be, or can they just change and that changes? I'm just sort of thinking it is close to the airport and that dust and everything there. So just wanted a bit of clarification on that one, and then I have another question.
Yeah, so through the chair, that with this one, like I said, there is no proposal to include blasting. That is managed by the environmental approval as environmentally relevant activity. So the details of that are in the actual environmental approval documents about what they can and can't do in relation to that activity and the resulting, I guess, impacts, including the dust, noise, etc. So I guess it would probably end up being a double whammy, for want of a better term, in that council would be interested, but so would the State Department. And there's probably a number of compliance issues and actions that would then be taken if that were to occur in this case.
Yeah, again, they've got that project there that they need to be compliant with the Ring Road project. They wouldn't want to go and do something that causes more problem for them going forward. So take on board your concern there, Councillor, but I think that's covered off through that process that'd be required if such an incident occurred. You had a further question?
Second one, Mr. Mayor, is...
Sorry, we lost your audio there. Did you want to repeat that, Councillor Fisher? Yeah, we got you now.
Yeah, oh, that's okay. I just pulled my mic out of the laptop. That landscape buffer, again, due to that location, I am very concerned that that is left out. I know Councillor Rutherford raised it, but it is sort of something that I would have thought that a boundary buffer would have been beneficial, not only for the residents around it, but also therefore the actual quarry itself. I know that is not just those buffers there catch dust, but also there would abate some of that noise risk as well. Is that sort of something that we could look at including?
I guess, yeah, through the chair. I mean, that could be an option at the end of the day. I mean, yeah, we didn't really see it as necessary on updating an older approval in this case, but there's nothing to say that it couldn't be applied.
Councillor Fisher.
Thank you. It's something for the table, but I would be more comfortable seeing that that provision was included. I don't know consensus of the other councillors, but that's something I'd feel comfortable about.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't got enough information to be taking that one on board. Just where the buffer would go and with bun walls and the like, what the integrity of those things are with. Amanda, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, through the chair. Look, it is possible to condition something. That the thing is, some of their boundaries they've got the bun walls right up to the boundary. So from that perspective, when you're looking at they're affecting their operations and so forth. So depending on where you would want the vegetation buffer, as I said, the site is surrounded by virtually unconstructed road reserve, and it is set back quite a lot from the main road. So when you're looking at a landscape buffer, are you talking around the whole perimeter of the site? And then, as I said, the existing operations they got, and this is where we found it difficult, the bun walls for their current pit, if you look out on site, are virtually almost on the boundary. So you can't, it's hard to move, since they've already commenced operations, to actually move that bun wall and that whole pit. Like, that's not possible. So I suppose the areas that you could condition a vegetation buffer would be along half along one boundary at one side, but I don't know really whether that's going to achieve what needs.
It's an existing site. That's my concern. Is
it's just hard when
retrospectively go back and require a buffer at this point. It's probably a little bit problematic without understanding what what you can achieve and what would be possible there. So. I understand the buffers and what they provide, but just in this instance, I don't think it's warranted that we try and force that without understanding about what it'd mean to do it. Do you have any further questions, Councillor Fisher?
Mr. Mayor, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rutherford, a further question?
Just on that, Mr. Mayor, and it's probably through to Amanda Aiden, if you don't mind, given that she's talking on this. I guess you assess the vegetation buffer for visual amenity visual screening. But if you were to assess it under visual screening as a dust catchment and I guess even noise abatement, how would it stack up with those three?
With those, yeah, well, through the chair. So with the dust is all monitored by state government. So on their approval, so on the environmental authority, there are conditions, and we've got they've got a temporary approval in place, which they're currently updating, but on there it has several conditions around dust and that monitored, and no dust can leave the site. So they'll be using water trucks and whatever else to ensure that no dust impacts that surrounding area. So yeah, the dust is covered under the environmental activity. So is the noise as well. And as I said, they're not blasting. They've limited hours of operation. All that's been considered and assessed by state. So I suppose from our component, when we know the dust and noise and all the environmental impacts are covered under that approval, the vegetation buffer in our view would be for visual amenity. But then we were concerned, as I said before, just that there are bunds up near the boundary and we didn't want to affect.
But are you saying we can't look at them as dust and sound abatement? Just because they're monitored under state government, does that mean that you as planners can't look at them in that regard? Because once again, we come back to compliance, and we know that is very hard once they're non-compliant to get anything done.
Yeah.
So if there is a relatively easy fix as far as, is a vegetation buffer, and I'm not even this specific site, in general, can we not look at that and go, well, this is the very best we can do? Because certainly we don't want to stop this, but how do we protect the properties that adjoin it? And is this the best we can do by asking for a vegetation buffer? Taking aside what you've said, that it may be difficult in this location, I'm not sure.
Doug might be able to.
It's existing because I think the increase in operations probably would give us.
Councillor Rutherford, I meant if you had a greenfield site, putting a buffer around it at that point, now that it's already an operation with button walls and the like, to say it needs a vegetation one at this point without information to the table to understand what you're asking for is a little bit problematic, I believe. I'll just go to Doug. Doug's got some information on that.
Yeah, just through the chair, I'll touch on the compliance stuff, exactly what the Mayor's saying. It's the reasonableness of putting that condition on, sort of in a retrospective condition, is probably the tricky bit. But just on the concept of a vegetation buffer for noise and dust, it does look like that. You would think that it would stop noise and dust, but in reality it doesn't. It is primarily there for visual purposes. It doesn't do much for noise, and for an industry like this, it will do very little, if anything, for dust, other than maybe make some neighbours feel like it is actually doing some stuff. So there's two parts here. Is it reasonable to do it retrospectively? Officer's recommendations is no. Then if it was new, would you do this just for noise and dust? Probably not. Certainly for visual amenity.
Thanks, Doug. Councillor Rutherford?
I guess I thought we had different advice for the showgrounds. I thought they said if we planted around the showgrounds, it gave anything directly opposite a buffer. What it didn't do was protect the noise from travelling up the hills. So, I thought we'd had information previously that vegetation buffer does help to an extent, and so.
Maybe conflicting advice, I'm not sure, Councillor Rutherford. Again, I'm not sure where to take it from there, whether the council wants to add that condition or not.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I think picking up from the application is effectively it's got an existing approval with a set of conditions. The applicant wouldn't have to come back to council if they just stayed within that. They're going to ramp up for the ring road and ramp down afterwards, so they're going to actually revert back pretty close to what they current approval. So it would be a little bit unreasonable in this case to impose that for just a short-term, larger amount of work.
And again, I'll come back to the. I'm not sure what we can do with an existing site if there's already bun walls and the like in place where you planned it out. Okay, councillors, there seem to be exhausted the questions there. So we have a mover, Councillor Mathers, the portfolio spokesman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Wickerson. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Councillor Fisher, you opposed? You want to vote? Record your vote against? Motion's carried, councillors. Thank you. Councillor, we move on to the next item, item 12.1, notice of motion. Councillor Fisher, the Bowen Basin Mining Club luncheon, retrospective. Is that one? Is it for the forward one? Is it coming up? Yeah, I'm happy to move as recommended. Seconded, Councillor Wickerson. Any questions? If not, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to questions on notice. Nil. Urgent business questions.
Mr Mayor, I've received, as of this morning, received a waste exemption request on behalf of the Shelter Collective, so I think there's a couple of councillors that may want to make a declaration.
Councillor Kirkland.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yes, I'd like to make a declaration of conflict of interest there. I'm a non-executive but founding member of the Shelter Collective, so by the sounds this is a direct request from the Shelter Collective, and as such I will leave the room for duration of any discussions or decisions around this, if that's okay.
Okay, we'll get the wording around that. Councillor Kirkland. Councillor Mathers.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm in the same boat as a founding member, but I've removed myself from the executive. We're officially called patrons, but same thing, because it has come directly from the Shelter Collective. I'll leave the room while discussions are taking place. Thank you.
Okay. We'll capture the wording on that, councillors. So as we move into this one, then we might ask those councillor Kirkland a question.
Mr Mayor, because I'm online, do you just put me somewhere? Does someone put me in a lobby?
We'll put you in the lobby.
Lobby, there you go.
Okay.
And we'll ask Councillor Mathers to leave the room while we deal with this matter. Thank you.
Councillors, I received a request this morning from the Manager of Housing and Homelessness from Anglicare CQ, who are a partner or a part of the Shelter Collective. They're requesting a waiver of some demolition and construction fees at the landfill. They're looking at probably 4 to 6 tonnes is probably what they're looking at, so around the $2,300. We do often, well, not often as we used to, but we do sometimes receive requests to waiver fees at the landfill for charitable organisations. They're renovating 10 cottages over the Alexander Gardens. We've been sitting around for about the last 10 years, I think they are, 10 to 15 years, so it's really up to the table to decide to waiver it. I have a recommendation up there, Mr Mayor, capped at 2.5, so it doesn't exceed the $2,500.
What's the process with the eligibility for those people to go into those buildings? Is there a criteria around that?
That will have to be assessed by the building certified, Mr Mayor. Won't be us, it'll be either us or a private certified.
For who's housed in those buildings?
That's correct. Who's supervising or overseeing that building works?
Probably not so much the works, but once the construction's complete, who would move into those houses?
Not sure, Mr Mayor, but effectively they're going to be used for crisis housing from the
crisis housing. Yeah, right. Okay,
sorry, Mr Mayor.
No, that was what I was after. Evan. Councillors, Councillor Wickerson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I understand that there's no asbestos material involved in this particular topic, but I also thought that there was asbestos in those cottages. That's why they were closed in the first place. So what happens to that material? Do we know, or is that, how does that get disposed?
That'll be regulated at both ends, and that'll be under the supervision of should be undertaken by a building certifier.
Yep.
So it'll have to be supervised on site. If it does end up at our landfill, we've got strict requirements over there as well in relation to wrapping and disposal as well.
Yeah.
I would see that all of that is still all capped at $2,500. It doesn't exceed. It's not in addition to.
Yeah.
But it's specifically for demolition and construction waste.
Yeah. So a secondary question is then, us processing the asbestos wrapped up how it should be, is there an extra cost on us to do that? Is that more intensive?
Yeah, there is a large cost. There is a higher fee that through the gate has to be paid, but as I said, it won't go over the $2,500. If council resolve in accordance with the recommendation,
yeah.
If they do go over, we won't go over the $2,500.
Yeah.
That's our contribution.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Wickerson. Councillor Rutherford.
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to move this. There's an awful lot of people that have got together and are donating their time and their resources and everything else. I think this is we, as CEO said, we often support different organisations, and I think this is a very good, very, very good outcome, so I'm happy to move it.
Thanks, Councillor Seconder. Councillor Smith. Okay, Councillor, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. We'll invite the other councillors back in. We'll have an item to be dealt with in closed session, councillors. Councillors, back onto, we just got to get Councillor Kirkland back out of the lobby. Okay, councillors, we're back onto our next item. We have an item to be dealt with in closed session in accordance with provisions 254J3 of the Local Government Regulations 2012. The local government may resolve to close the meeting to the public to discuss a confidential item. The council the members consider necessary to close the meeting. So could I have a mover and a second with regards to that? Move Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Mathers. I'll put that. Those in favour? Motion's carried. And that we move into closed business to deal with the matter on there. So I'm happy to move. Seconded Councillor Smith. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. We will now move into closed session. Close the door and...
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming. I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.